Normally we are on the platform of sologynetwork.com and broadcasting in that way. However, today that's not an option. And so we will be doing this through my social media platforms as well as Zoltan's platform. So those of you who are tuning in, you have a lucky free episode today, which is a great thing because today I am honored to be joined by Zoltan. Zoltan, and I'm not saying his name the way that he said. He's Guardian.
Oh, it's perfect. It's yeah.
Okay. So Guardian, I first found Zoltan. I think it was 2013. And at this time, there was a lot of things going on for a lot of people, but everyone was quiet about it in my world anyway. As far as I knew, I was the only one going through it. And I found him, a little YouTube video that explained a hug, what a hug from a light being or a higher from these particular ET groups feels like. And I was like, somebody actually knows. And then he disappeared. And fast forward several years, then it was summer of 2020. The lockdown was in full swing. I was homeless with my 5-year-old, and I found a channel called Guardian of Orion. It came to me, and it was the most bizarre thing because I didn't know what light language was, and he was doing this light language from these light beings, or I didn't even know what was going on. And um, he held these Monday groups every week where he went live and he would talk to us and let us have a conversation. And those of us in the chat got to talk about stuff that's going on for the first time. And I didn't do anything on Mondays except join Guardians Live on Mondays. That was what we did. And I came up with, that's actually why I go by higher vibrations as well, is that name came to me. I needed a name so I could openly share what was going on and not feel like I was going to get caught. And higher vibrations came to me because this way, when we speak the truths, the secrets with this collective word, then we get to release all who are encumbered by the secret. While we speak our own, we speak it for everybody else. And so this is why I did this. And then fast forward a little while longer, I just want to continue just really quickly because Guardian's a really important part of my life. He created a lot of beautiful spaces and comfort and safety places for me to be able to speak. And as a result of what Guardian has done, I have a YouTube channel. I do Zoom meetings with people. I meet people. I get to speak this truth, and I get to help liberate the masses. And Guardian was my second subscriber on my YouTube channel. My mom was the
Really?
first.
Your loving, supporting family.
So I just want to say, thank you to Guardian for the impact that you have had on my life and continue to. And thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, likewise. We've been like a huge catalyst in each other's growth in the past 3 or 4 years soon. So I'm grateful to also have you in my life as well.
Thank you. So you have a really cool accent, and I know a lot of people are going to wonder. So where are you from?
Yeah, I'm Hungarian and I live in Transylvania. So, and currently it's past midnight around here.
Right. And you're an early bird, so you're making quite the exception for meeting us at this time today. Thank you.
Yes. I also love to go on adventures and experiment with stuff, so it's awesome to be here.
Yeah. You so you took a sabbatical off of your channel for a little while, but I do want to mention for anyone who is interested, you just changed the name of your channel so people can still find you.
Yes, yeah.
Can they still find you Guardian of Orion, or do they have to search?
I think so, yeah. You can find my stuff because YouTube has registered all my videos as such under that name. But I just tested out, so you can write in J Zoltan and it will do the same thing. So
cool. So I have some questions. Can I have some questions?
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
So, you have a very unique awakening story, in my opinion. Like, I mean, many of us will have. Hey, it's 2:22. Many of it's 22:22 for you, isn't it? Oh wait, no, it's midnight.
It's 12:22 around here.
um, I have heard of people who have had those deeply profound alterations in mind and body, where it's just like, whoa, holy awakening. But very rarely, and Guardian here has Zoltan here. It's gonna be hard for me to start calling you by your earthly name.
No, like call me Guardian, like that's my real name. So
All right, cool.
Zoltan is just my Earth given name. So call
um,
me by my high vibrational name.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, you are Guardian to me. It's funny how names don't fit us. I was just exploring that recently. I've noticed that um, a lot of people that are close to me, I don't feel like I want to say their name anymore. Like their name isn't their name. It's weird. But so, Guardian, you had a really crazy and profound awakening experience. Would you like to tell us some of that story at all? Like,
Yeah, I will try to make it as short as possible, but also very impactful. So in general, I think I had my awakening in 2012 at the end of February that year. And before that, I had my normal way of living just as everyone else on Earth. I tried to fit in, but it didn't work. And the more I sunk into trying to be normal and like do things as other people do, the worse it became. And I had like no clue like what was wrong in life. But I also started to like develop physical problems. I had some kind of strange heart condition at the age of, I don't know, I was like 22, I think. And physically, I was perfectly healthy. I had like multiple doctors check me, and I just didn't know what to do. And at the time, like, even though I was not in the so called awakened community, I was like also hearing these rumors like it's 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar, and the world is going to end this year.
really?
And I did some quite a bit of soul searching of like, okay, like if it's were, let's say it were actually to end this year and like this is my last few months on Earth, then like, was it an okay life? Like, am I happy where I am in life right now? Or I had these like very strange and profound questions all of a sudden because I haven't really thought of these things before.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, it was a pretty warm day, like the winter was going away, and it was such a pleasant time outside. I was thinking about these things. I just had this like profound realization. It's like, oh my God, like I was like wasting my life, and like all these things that I thought were like important are like crap. Like like it's not important at all, and I was just wasting my life away on unimportant things.
Right.
And all of a sudden, when I had this like realization, this like huge like wave of like love just came through me and over me. I'm not sure, but it just completely overwhelmed me emotionally. And yeah, like I just started to like cry for days after that. So I had like a very serious crying session that lasted probably a few weeks. So every day, a few hours
Yeah.
of just like going through that sensation, like, oh my God, like this huge, profound experience just happened to me. And like how amazing it was, but also like very challenging, also because it forced you to question things that you thought were okay in your life, and now you just realize that, hey, like things need to change, and you have to do some busy work
Yeah.
to change all those stuff in your life. But it was also very exciting at the same time, and I'm very grateful for that.
And then you also have to, or not have to, but we find that after we have those kinds of experiences, the world around us is still operating as usual. So it's like your alarm clock still goes off at 6 a.m. You still have to go to work and talk to these other people while you're like, I just talked to 18 galactic races. What the heck? You know, like,
Yeah. Yeah, like the strange thing is that I'm not sure like how to categorize, but if anyone is like familiar with the book ET 101, it's like an awesome small little channeled guidebook. If you choose to incarnate on planet Earth. It's like a guidebook of like how to go about stuff here on Earth and like how to reconnect with your star family. And in that book, there is like a section of like how different types of soul groups chose to incarnate here. And I'm part of the heavy artillery units who are like fighting on the front lines, who are like able to like rapidly shift in consciousness. And yeah, like I recognized that very early on with me as well. Like I was able to like do like a 180 turn in just a few days. And like the strange thing was that yeah, like just as you said that, hey, you still go to work, you still have the same family and friends, and they're like, what the hell happened to you? Like, are you sick? Or like, why are you doing these things? Or like the things that were important to you last week, you're like throwing them away. Like, yeah, I think it was much more stranger to people around me, and they needed like a year to like really cope with that. Like, okay, like something happened, but it's not clear what. It's weird, but I guess that's how you're right now. So
Yeah, like they're waiting for you to go back for a while. They're like,
yeah,
hey.
and that's like that's what I receive from many people, and like even today from time to time. It's like, oh, like this is just a phase in your life, and you're just going to like go back as you were. Like, just yeah,
Right.
it's not important at all.
And the lasting effect that it has in a trickling way is pretty cool to watch the world around us, the people around us after a while. But yeah, you're right. It's um and I'm just this part of the story that you had told. I hope you don't mind me telling this. You've mentioned it before in your lives, um, where so that cartoon Avatar. Um, Remember we talked about where you had gone. Um, we'd done that one part of the one of those episodes where it
Oh, the
sent you.
chakra clearing.
Yes. Would you? When in your awakening did that happen?
I think it happened like 2 years after my awakening. So I already done a lot of work and had like a lot of crazy experiences up until that point. And yeah, like that was also a pretty big turning point in my life too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like should I talk about that
If you
too?
would, that would be great.
Oh, okay. So basically, like the prelude to that event was that, yeah, like if you do some research online about like the Guardian Alliance or like what Guardians are, there isn't much information about us or them. But yeah, like very early on, I had like very strange experiences that like usually spiritual people didn't talk about. Like I had many run-ins with dark beings and like protecting people from dangerous situations or escorting people through war zones or stuff like that. And I was like, hey, like what is happening to me? Like, why am I having these strange experiences? And I think by that time I kind of like I kind of understood like what my part in this whole awakening is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like before that experience that you want me to elaborate on,
Yeah.
I basically had I wouldn't say like something like a fight or something with the dark being. Like I had to clear it out from somewhere. And I was at the very beginning of my awakening journey. So whenever I did something energetic, I usually used up my own energy to do it. So,
Yeah.
which is like, don't do that. Like, that's the worst thing that you can do, is to like use up your own life force energy to do things. Like, never do that. And yeah, like I did that and I burned up quite a bit. And what I haven't realized it at that time, but I was like bleeding energetically. Like I was like losing my life force energy across about like 3 days or so.
Yeah.
And it wasn't painful or anything. I was just literally like losing life from my body. I don't know how to explain. So I was just absolutely losing my strength or will to live. And like I was detaching from my body slowly. And for some reason, that episode from Avatar, The Last Airbender came up, and there's this an awesome video where someone did like a cut of just those parts with the chakra clearing,
Yeah.
of like going from the root to the sacral and so forth. and like each stage has its like own gatekeeper, like an emotion or a trauma or something that is like blocking you from opening that gateway. And for some reason, in that very I don't know how to call that state, in that very dizzy and like disconnected state from myself, I was, thank God, alone at home.
Hmm.
And I just had to lay down because I couldn't sit anymore.
Yeah.
I laid down and like that whole routine just went through my mind, and I like did all the clearings for all my gateways from below to the upper one. And the last one is the crown chakra, which is basically you like have to let go of your earthly attachments to like open yourself to cosmic consciousness. And I did that. I let go of everything, and I'm not sure how good or bad that was, but I just also let go of my body. And I started to like float up from my body. And like a very interesting thing happened that like the stars were like their gravitational fields were like pulling me towards them.
Yeah.
And first up, it was our sun, because like that's the closest star. I was like sucked into the sun, and after like that, I went on like a roller coaster ride with every other sun, because like each star is connected to the other, and they're like forming a type of network,
Yeah.
like a multi-dimensional network, which leads to the center of the galaxy. So I was like going faster and faster on those like star highway, and I was reaching the center of the galaxy. And as it was like coming close to the huge light, I was like started to feel my body back down on Earth, like very strangely, like it was like this numb sensation of like almost like thousands of little needles like piercing my foot and like coming up through my body, and at the same time also from my fingers it started to like become stronger and stronger and like come closer to the core of my body. And as that was like happening, I didn't feel my feet anymore, like that was gone.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden just someone said like no no, and just someone grabbed me, like threw me back in my body. and, and I woke up and I was like back to normal. So
Wow.
yeah, that was a crazy experience.
Did you hear the voice no when before you were
I'm
grabbed?
not sure, but I definitely like felt that intention, like no, like don't do that, and like
Yeah.
okay, like we have to intervene here, guys. Like he has no clue what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I would have like completely disconnected with my body and like die from the perspective of a human, but
Yeah.
maybe that could have happened. I don't know. But thank God someone was wiser than I. So
Yeah.
and he threw me back into my body.
It's amazing. And you took me there psychically just now. It's 2, 3, 4. You took me there. It's like an echo of the no was like an echo through your whole everything. Like you could feel the echo of the no. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I was cool. I just love that. So this particular kind of echo is a really high being. You'd never showed me the image before, or maybe I just wasn't able to receive the
Oh, I
tele.
haven't seen anything. Probably it was just me on another level. I'm not sure.
You just sent it to me. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that story. So this, um, I'm going to see if I can find that clip, by the way, and post it in Telegram or something, or on Facebook or YouTube or somewhere for you guys to check this
Oh
out. But
yeah, yeah.
it's
Mm-hmm.
Avatar. It's really, I know a lot of you know this cartoon. I think someone actually commented. Here it is. She says, uh, Squidgy says, Squidgy nuisance to AI says, I know it's a cartoon, but it's very profound. And for kids, wow, they will be so in touch. A good start. Yeah, it's there's a lot of cool things that Guardian and I have talked about over the years, that the code is written in all of our media, in books and riddles and rhymes and storytellers and child stories, and mostly for me in my experience and Guardians, because we're geeks.
Yeah.
Movies and stuff like this. And so, series like, sci-fi and stuff. And isn't it great the geeks were right? Like, I just think that's so funny, like, um, and so there's a lot of cool and awesome things out there for us to find assistance in. Um, so after you had this experience, when was this? This was before you started to do YouTube, isn't that right?
Not sure. I think no, I think I already did it in 2013. So this was kind of a bit before when I deleted all my stuff from YouTube in 2014, I think.
Why did you do that, by the way? I'm very interested.
Yeah, why did I do that? Well, I went into more of the Earth relationship part of my experiences, and I wanted to like ground more. And I also felt that I was like sharing weekly like stuff that were happening to me, and at a certain point became like exhausting in a sense. Like I wasn't reflecting properly on what was happening to me. I was like rather all like just as something happened, I was already like thinking about like, oh, like how can I share this, and like how can I rationalize what happened so people can understand it.
Right.
And instead of like me focusing on my own journey, I was focusing on like how to make this digestible for other people. Or yeah, like and I felt like, okay, like this is really hindering me in what I'm supposed to do, and I should probably stop doing it for now.
That makes sense. And then you did this again recently. You had a summer long sabbatical from YouTube.
Yes, yes, I was also very exhausted from doing live events and YouTube videos and all that. But I did it now in a much more grounded way. So, and I
Yeah.
also attracted a lot more people, a lot more of our soul tribe. But I also think, in a sense, because I was sharing so many like galactic messages instead just my experiences,
Yeah.
I think most of the people were attracted to that.
Yeah, I saw you you're up to 17K now on YouTube. Congratulations.
Yay! Although YouTube doesn't very favor our content anymore, but
Yeah.
we
Well,
still got there.
this is why we're so I don't know how much you know about Todd Medina. He's a really awesome guy, and this whole Soulogy tribe that have created the platform
Hmm.
that this show is with. There's a lot of so right now there's 21 shows, but there's like a whole bunch more slots, and it's gonna the concept of it is that it'll be alternative to YouTube. It'll be
Wow. Hmm.
24/7 like YouTube as well, and
Awesome.
so eventually it's in order for because I agree with you. I've been noticing this too. The skew has changed again, um, and it's just for now. I do have a question. You mentioned something, and I don't know if it's a question that you're going to be able to answer very if you don't feel you don't have to. But you mentioned guardians, and that not a lot of people know what guardians are, and there's not a lot of resources. Would you care to take a moment to explain what a guardian is?
Okay, I will do my best.
Okay.
Yeah, like in my experience, like there isn't many of us on Earth, maybe just 1,000 or maybe less. I haven't really met in real life any of us, so we're like scattered across the world. I did have like a few experiences when I did something with the rest of our tribe or something, but that was like way back, and there was only like three of us that were like holding space for each other and doing something bigger together. But in general, like in short, I think it's like we're like uh, I don't know, like the law enforcement of the universe, or I don't know how to say it, or like the white blood cells of the cosmos. Of like whenever like something is like out of alignment or like falls off balance, and like things need to be cleaned out, then we usually come into that place to clean stuff up, and that means dealing with a lot of icky energies.
Wow, that's really amazing. Um, I agree with that. I my interaction with you energetically before I knew who you were was just that. There's something that Guardian here had taught me. So a lot of us early on we have in our awakening we have these we call them psychic attacks or whatever words we want to use. There's these energies that come through that aren't like the most fun.
Yeah.
Um, and as everybody, I had my own experiences and Guardian here taught me the Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sembayo, that, um, it's a chant of like, what's it mean again? I forgot. Holy, holy, holy
Is the Lord of Hosts.
is the Lord of hosts. And I know, and when we do this type of thing, what I notice is it looks like all of a sudden all these different colors, but it's mostly blue, white, and violet colors that just kind of like shoot down out of the ceiling. And then you find there's like beings there, and they just like kind of like clear up some stuff that's in there bothering you, whatever. I bring this up because I didn't know it, though, on a different plane, a different way, in some way. Guardian, you actually come with this group. Like you do, like you actually come. It's your energy. And that's how I was so familiar with you already, is that you've been interacting with me for, we've been, as you know, we've been energetically in conversation since the beginning, long before I was Pamela.
I'm not sure about that, but yeah. The strange thing is that I don't remember these stuff, but like other people who know me shared experiences that they had. Like when bad things happen, I appear and like clear things up, and like they know like when I'm there, then they're safe and they're calm and like everything is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just it makes sense that that's you can identify yourself as that. And I wonder, so how many do you think there are? How many guardians do you think there are incarnated? Like, I mean, guess. I won't hold you to this. No one can.
I don't know, maybe a few thousand if there are. I'm not sure. Like we are not in the majority, like that's sure.
Right.
I think because like there's no need for too many of us. Like we are like I'm not sure how to describe it. Like we are able to move huge amounts of energy easily. So we don't. There is no need for many of us.
Right.
To do the work.
Interestingly, there's usually a single. I mean, like most energies that people, that the energy of them I interact with, they typically will be different. They'll look different in different times in different ways. But for you, you typically always have an something Egyptian going on.
Yeah, I had a lot of lifetimes there. So
is that why? Just because it was so many?
Yeah, I had a lot of it, and also as well like, connecting with it recently again, which is very interesting. And yeah, like many memories have come back from those times as well. And basically, like what I remember is that I was doing the same work that I'm doing now, like throughout history, just in different parts of the world. And a lot of it was in ancient Egypt, basically. That is why that's why it resonated with me so much, even when I was like 4 years old, I think. Like up until I was like 7, I was like obsessed with ancient Egypt. I was like copying hieroglyphs and stuff like from books, even though I like had like zero clue of what I was doing. So, but I was like obsessed with it at that time.
That's really
then
cool.
I later found out why. So kids knew their stuff. Yeah. Yes.
Back then you didn't know why. You just
No, I just found it very intriguing. I just couldn't get enough of it. And sadly, back then, there wasn't as many resources as there are right now.
Yeah.
Like I only had like a few books or so on this subject, and I like, knew them in and out. And I was like collecting everything that I could back then, like 30 years ago.
Wow, that's so cool. So, through this means that I shared a life with you. That you mind if I won't expose that. But so do you want to say who we talked about who you were at one point in this? I remember you said you kind of. Let's move on. So I didn't ask permission to discuss certain things. You know.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you can go. We can go into that as well if you want to.
Okay. So I can't remember his name. This part of it is so I happened past, this was a couple of years ago. I've seen you in a past life, and this past life was a lifetime where I would be called Horus, and you were this individual who was this bust that I showed you. I showed you a picture of it. I had sent it to you on Skype, and I was like, "This."
I don't remember.
Oh, darn it. Okay. Well, That's okay. That's probably why they were like, just move on. um, okay. I do have some more questions though. I do before we get it be too far away, and because I know that you only have an hour today, because it's so late in your part of the world.
Yeah, like we can stretch it a bit if it's necessary, so it's okay.
Thank you. I'm really interested. It's okay. Let me briefly start this by saying, uh, Guardian and I haven't really talked lately. We talk all the time, and I still do energetically feel connected, but I just don't. Just like everybody knows. Anyway, so I have been having a series of ET encounters this calendar month. So it started at 11:11 p.m. on the 31st of August, ended at 1:11 a.m. on the 1st of September. This first one, where this inner earth being came to me, physically approached me, and a lot has happened, that I won't go into right now, that I've already kind of told a lot of people that are listening, and I can tell you about it more later on. But a lot of things happen. Long story short, now I've been met with a bunch of other beings since then, and um, this end of this inner earth being initiated what he called a profound detoxification from the matrix. And I didn't know what that meant until I'm now finally figuring it out. Why I'm bringing this up is that since this first initiation on the first, um, we are known made to know that most of us will be engaged by at least 7 galactic races in since then into the next little while. And I've had a few more. I had a really profound and incredible one last night where there were um, 3 different types of races, and there were 3 of each of the 3 races that came to me. And there were 9. They call themselves the 9. So I have to figure out what that is in a little bit later, having to do with the pink frequency. Why am I saying all this stuff? Is because everyone in the next little while between now and everyone is in their own pace, and their own pace is what they're saying. So it's not to be alarmed, but in the next 6 or 7 months, everyone's going to be engaged, but most of us are starting right now. These ET beings, Guardian, that you have had so much experience with, and you have the ability to to convey how to interact, what this interaction's like, to maybe kind of help some people. So I was wondering maybe if you want to elaborate on some of your stories of the different beings that you've interacted with in whatever means, to kind of like calm any fears. Do you know what I mean?
So I should go into the calming fears phase. Okay.
I think that if you talk about your story, that it'll help people.
Okay, sure. Well, in general, is like, in Earth, like we live on planet Earth, and like everything has a sort of similar vibrational frequency, and we're used to experiencing that. And like when something comes in that is not of Earth, then it will have different vibrational frequency. And even if you don't see them, or they don't specifically want to interact with you, they just want you to feel their presence, it will still like feel strange and off balance maybe, or like weird, and because it's something of another world basically. And they're just like trying to, I wouldn't say like test you, but like get you to know them a bit, like bit by bit, like, and also to see how you react to those situations, because they're like always constantly like observing us. Like even if you just maybe like see something on the news, or like something related to them, they're like observing your reactions. Like, okay, like how do you react in this situation? Like how do you deal with these stuff in your own life? And like they're using that as a type of I think they call it like a barometer or something, or like how ready are you to take the next step and like have more interactions with them, or like receive more information regarding them. But in general, they just usually like send their energy, or maybe they send you some visuals maybe. And in some cases, in my opinion and experience, they can also like initiate contact with you just by you like finding something on YouTube that's of that energy. And that's like a very safe, quote unquote, and comfortable way of you experiencing their energy, because like you're okay with listening to something on your phone and someone else is telling you that stuff. Like we are familiar with that and we know how that works. And usually they can communicate in that way as well, like through other people, maybe channeling messages or maybe light language as well, because it will like click with you on a very deep level, even if you don't realize that it has, like it had an impact on you, which can like come into fruition later on as well. And yeah, like that's how I also had a lot of experiences. I know like I did videos of like light language transmissions, and it's like so interesting that people, I'm so thankful to everyone who's like writing in comments of their experiences, and they people have so many varied experiences like listening to those videos. Like some people say they're just relaxed and it's like pleasant to listen to, or they fall asleep, or they experience activations, healings. And like some people say that they have like out of body experiences, like going to spaceships and all that. I guess like those are the more extreme ones. But yeah, like basically all these like channeled messages like carry a specific frequency, and if you like choose to tap into that, it can like trigger an experience for you.
Right.
Maybe not at that time, but maybe when you fall asleep or when you meditate, or it can happen in whatever shape or form is like best for you, basically.
Yeah. Water. It always works out for me that if I haven't had a reaction, then later on, whatever it is the first time I interact with water after. So like if I'm washing the dishes, washing my hands, taking a bath, something about water, or even going next to water. Like I remember I went to the river. We live next to the Columbia River, and we went over there. And as soon as the closer we got to it, the more I was like, I'm so glad we're going to park, because like I was having a pretty profound experience. My daughter calls Guardian Meditation Man.
Yeah.
That's his
What a
name.
great name. Yeah.
It's really cute. Um, and she mentioned to me a couple of times that about you having known her while you were Native Americans, and so she thought you were. She didn't know. Still
Yeah,
doesn't.
like that's so crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
wasn't she
you
your mom
can
or something like that? I don't remember how the story goes, but it's weird how we find ourselves connected in every different direction. So, what is it that you, if you had to, if someone came to you and asked you, which is me right now, I guess, but it's just a hypothetical question, why these galactic races are approaching us at this time? What do you think it's now?
well, they've been approaching us and communicating with us always, but like we had these times in history when we were like more open to those interactions. And right now we're also entering another phase when we're again becoming more aware of them, and we are at the stage of our evolution when we can actually communicate with them more properly.
Yeah.
And also because they want to initiate us into their galactic society as well. I guess like many people have heard about that as well, but like that's the main point of them being here and like teaching us, so we can like evolve much more rapidly and more smoothly, I guess, so we don't have to make so many detours and experiment too much with unnecessary stuff. We can like we have all the tools and all the information to like, if you want to heal and you want to progress, then you can do it. Like you don't have to work lifetimes on unnecessary stuff as we did maybe thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're giving us the chance to evolve further, basically, and to meet with our star family in general.
Yeah, I resonate with that completely. There's I'm going to tell you something about what happened last night, because I think that would be really cool too. To the very the A lot of amazing things occurred. I was awake until 5:55 a.m. this
Yay,
morning
awesome.
with these experiences. Oh, I know. I feel so bad. Like I emailed and texted so many people, but they're like, "What?" Um. Anyway. So, um, the coolest part is so okay. What's happening right now is everyone's going through. Which you've been talking about going through the purge, for a little while, and what I had happened starting on the 1st of September was they called it a detoxification from the matrix, and I had no idea what the matrix really meant. I just found out what they meant. Is the matrix is our devotion to our secrets. We've been calling it devotion to our story, which it's part of it, but the secrets. So the privacies and the stuff that the posturing and the not saying certain things part. And so I don't know how because I've had a really crazy month, Guardian. Like after this happened, I left my body. I'd not been in control of my own body for almost a whole month. And I was in the void watching myself be a pubescent boy is basically the energy I was for the whole of September. It was the most bizarre thing. Anyway, what that did is it made this pubescent boy tell everybody all my secrets and stuff that wasn't even really a secret. That just the little thought. Anyway, why am I telling you this? Is that um, it was a example and of um, removing self from the matrix, and as a result, this is something everyone's going to do over a period of time at their own pace. Once we've completely removed ourselves from being invested in any of these secrets, then what happens is everyone's just themselves always at all the time, and because of that. Um, you don't ever have to wonder who they are. They just are who they are. Like you and me, we're like regular people. In my opinion, we're regular. Then there's the muggles. Even the muggles will be like themselves, and you'll just know who they are. And when there's no longer a reason to question who they are, there's no longer suspicion. And that's why it works. And that's what they said, we're leaving the age of suspicion. And that's what's that. When we leave the age of suspicion, not just being is when we get to raise up to this higher frequency. I don't know why, but they called it the pink frequency, even though everything looks like gold and white there. And so, and I looked it up, and the pink frequency doesn't actually show up on the spectrum according to these reports. So, anyway, that's what happened to me last night.
Yeah, you've been busy. Yeah, like how they refer to it when I communicate with them, usually they say that we're entering the age of total transparency.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, yeah, like I also enjoy very much like ancient history and mystical stuff, like secret societies and things like that, or mystical teachings. For example, I'm very much into Hermatic philosophy and like alchemy and mysticism. And like one day my guides were like saying that, hey, like like that's going away as well, because that's just another veil of like masking something that is much more pure. Like you needed that story around like I know, like mystical knowledge, like created those symbols and all that to like mask something and to like preserve it. But like now that's gradually going to go away because you don't need it anymore. Like you're going to go into a phase when you're going to use this information in a much more pure way, rather than like speaking in riddles and stuff like that.
Yeah. Where all things are plainly spoken. Exactly. That's exactly what I heard too. Oh, and my handwriting has changed since yesterday. I have a different handwriting now. It's really weird. There's this place of where all things are spoken, and therefore it doesn't need to be spoken. It's kind of like how I got it, because when you're no longer holding a secret, then it loses its importance. It doesn't matter. And that was another point to be made, is that, like, I mean, I Guardian, I actually had an episode of one of these shows where I spent the bulk of 2 hours talking about masturbation and stuff. Like we were just like
Wow.
full on talking about everything and like
Well, you said there's no censorship here,
I
so.
know. Well, yeah, I kind of hushed it because we are on YouTube right now, but um, and but just I talked about everything, and it was good. It was, and I was freeing, and you know, in my head, I swear like a sailor, but I try not to out loud, and I just let myself. I just did it. Like, I mean, everything was F this and F that, and I kind of still do that, but anyway, the point of that is that when that happened, I let it all hang out, and I was loved anyway. Like, and I was loved in, not in spite of, but because of, and a lot of experience. You know, like I was, by being boldly, bluntly, rudely me. Um, Other people started to loosen up and start to tell their truth. And when we start to unmask the, you know, just like in Scooby Doo, who's the bad guy after all? And they take the mask off, and it was like, it was me all along. I've been my own prison guard. I've kept myself in the shackles because I've not been willing just to be myself. And sometimes myself is something that we compare each other, like on social media. People are, you know, filters and editing and making it look and sound like, you know, sometimes we aren't. Our imperfections is what makes us perfect. Our flaws are the threads that create the fabric of who you are. And nothing in the universe is a mistake, including you. So,
Yeah, like otherwise we wouldn't be here. So.
exactly. As flawed and inadequate and defective as we feel sometimes. um, and so, next, after we move into this, what do you think that's going to look like, Guardian? Once everyone's just translucent, or, you know, not, what's the right word? Transparent, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
um, Once everyone is just ourselves. They said that what they here. I'll actually, I wrote some of it, but they called it heart path, I think. Yeah. Um, and then it says all things you need will come to you easily from this point forward. Follow All will follow their heart path into the future of not only liberation but truth. And they called me Sister of the Light. That made me feel happy. I was like, oh, yeah, I turn pink when I'm channeling. So people have been asking that. It usually you can see it on the outside, but now I have this screen, so it's really obvious on my skin. It's this peak frequency, I think. Maybe that's what that is. Anyway.
You're turning pink? Okay.
No.
Yeah, like my cat just caught up in the cord of my headphones, so I hope he won't rip it off my head.
Your cat. So what do you think that what kind of world is going to look like?
I'm not sure, but it's probably going to take quite some time and a lot of work to get there. Yeah. Yeah, I think like many people will not, I don't know, like be there or go there because like they are simply not of that vibration, or they're just like simply not able to exist or function in that specific environment, I think.
Right.
Like us, like who are willing to like do all that work, I guess we will experience this to some extent. But yeah, like I think the kids will be very easily having a good time and like getting there.
Yeah.
And all the old folks, we will have to do a lot of work to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, and it's funny too, because then they revealed something else that I felt like kind of embarrassed about. And they, you know, when we saw the, wow, the world is going to be so cool. It's going to be so cool to be in. It's going to be such an easy world after that. And then what they showed was, and then people like you and I, Guardian, we're going to be looked at, and even some will refer to us as the masters.
Or they just wouldn't care, or I don't
Like,
know.
I mean, I just think that's so funny that they're, because I asked again because I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, I mean, I am so like I don't know. Yeah, there's just we're presented with the idea of who the masters are, and the masters are always like flawless seeming and like real disciplined. And I had pizza yesterday. I mean,
Yeah, I also had some cake today, even though I'm on a very strict diet. So I had a cheat day.
oh, good for you. That's yeah. I mean, the thing is I find this to be one of the most important things. There's all this stuff about the ascension and our bodies changing and what we want to listen to our bodies and stuff. People forget to listen to the cravings too. Like sometimes, I mean, enjoy your human experience while you're still human. That's how I say. So like, you know, I mean, I know people who are also individuals who will be referred to as masters who, drink beer and smoke cigarettes and, do these things that people say are like so not spiritual. And it's like, I mean, I'm not suggesting anyone do one thing or another, but I am suggesting this: enjoy yourself. Sometimes my body does crave sugar, and like, I've been drinking coffee again lately. I've been so tired though. So tired. But I wanted to ask you one more thing. I know you will probably want to get going. Is that right?
Yeah, like we could still stay like 20 minutes or
Okay,
so.
cool. Awesome. Perfect. That's closer to how long this usually goes. I think Todd has us slotted for an hour and a half. But
Okay, I managed to like unplug the cord from the belly of my cat, so we're good.
Guardian's cat always comes when we're talking. It's just something that happens.
Yeah.
He has to show up. So I had a question. Oh yeah, so I regarding your so Guardian has often been connected with the violet flame. And so I was wondering if you can kind of elaborate on that a little bit, because right now we are in a time that transmutation is really, really useful. And you do have like a corner market on this in my world. Like I'll still send
Really?
your meditations and your
Okay.
trilogy light language. You did the violet, the blue, and the green. I have that as a folder on my YouTube channel for people to listen to that playlist. Um, so, would you kind of go into what is transmutation? How does the violet flame work?
Okay. Well, just on a side note, we just did a live event on YouTube about this topic when we went into a lot more details and also did a meditation together if anyone wants to check that out. But in short, like the violet flame is like an awesome energetic tool that can basically dismantle and reconstruct anything, like deconstruct dense things and reconstruct them into something positive. And like that's the basic mechanism of transmutation. And yeah, like violet flame is an awesome energetic tool that is like super accessible for everyone.
Mhm.
Like for so far, it has been a secret, like very closely guarded secret of the mystery schools. And like about 100 years ago, it was like disclosed and it's like open for the public. And yeah, like there's a lot of awesome material online with it. Different meditations. There are like teachers who like go into it very deeply of like how it works. Like I don't know much about the literature. I just use it. And I really enjoy using it because it's super effective, especially if you like have some physical problems or experiencing unpleasant stuff on many levels. It's great because it's not just working with the physical body like regular medicine would. It's like working with you on all levels,
Right.
just like energy healing. And it's something that you can do yourself as well. Or if you're like becoming very adept and like masterful in using your violet flame, then you can use it to heal other people, to extend it to different situations. Maybe you can also clear spaces with it, heal the land, or whatever your imagination can come up with, basically.
And do you see a physical manifestation of this flame when you do this meditation?
Oh, I kind of see the color of it mostly just. And I like to focus on the color to like keep that in mind. I also like, yeah, like you can do it also when you're not meditating, you're with other people at your job or just walking down the street. Like you can use the violet flame even then. And I like, yeah, like to cheat in a way that I have something around me that is of that color. So whenever I feel like my attention is like slipping, I just like look at that specific object or thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, like okay, like back to the violet flame.
Right.
Because like keeping your focus on it and like intensifying it with your intention is important. Otherwise, like maybe you'll have like a strong burst at the beginning, but if you like attention drifts to something else, then it will lose its potency basically. But the more you're able to focus on it and like keep it alive and fire it with your intention, then the more it can work on you or whatever you want to transmit on that basically.
Right. I see this too. I thought it was because so when I was in high school, I my friends and I invented this thing where you got like these PVC pipes and wrapped them with insulation and duct tape, and we made swords and stuff, like padded swords. And we we were D&D kids, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, and so we turned D&D into like live action. And we ended up making a whole thing about it. This was in the 90s. But we were invited to be at the Canterbury Fair and dress in all our outfits and everything. Anyway, because of this example, I still do this in my real life. Like I'll physically use my hands and I'll create like a flame ball, and I'll hurtle a, this ball of fire someplace at someone. And what's really cool is there's always a noticeable effect. A lot of times I'll do this, and Guardian's actually the one that kind of brought this up. This a few years ago. I don't know if you noticed, I don't know if you'll remember saying this or not, because it was like really off the cuff, but you had said something about sending it ahead of time. It's you sending the violet flame ahead of time to places that you didn't want to engage in. Because I was telling you that sometimes when I send energy to something, then all of a sudden it turns out they cancel my plans and I don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, you brought it up, and so I was like, oh, let's try it. So I sent the violet flame there. I can throw it at people, and I can help release people who are like freaking out and making a big, and they're disrupting my energy, that are my neighbors and stuff. But that was because of you. You taught me that. You brought that up, and I was like, oh, let's try it. You can do it. You can. So what you do, you feel your hands, and then you feel the energy, and you can feel it building, and you can really make it be something. Like, and your intentions going in there, and you create, and then you can send it, or do it visually without your hands. I like to do it with my hands because I don't know. And then you can
It's more
feel it leave your
tangible.
pores like a breath, like it leaves your pores like a breath. You know what I mean? Like you can feel it go. It's really cool. There's you brought up something else too, and I'm going to bring this up. I wrote it down. The first time that you and I did the violet flame meditation together, I think we were doing it live. Um, I don't remember anymore. Um, I found I brought forward the thing called the Divine Order of the Violet Flame, Saint Germain, and we discovered that this was a whole secret society that had just opened up. And um, I was wondering if you wanted to talk about the time that you had created such an amazing flame that Saint Germain came around.
I think it was Melchizedek.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, like, I think this was in 2013 when I was like very much into the violet flame and worked each day with it. And like I built up so much, I wouldn't say like I maybe experience or like just the momentum with it, that I was just able to extend it to a very great distance around me for I don't know, like maybe a kilometer or so. So I was like able to like bathe everything into the violet flame around me. And I was holding that for quite some time, and all of a sudden just this white bearded guy appeared in front of me in the middle of the fire, and I was like, oh my god, like what's happening?
It's
And
like
when
this.
yeah, like just the fire just kind of like parted away, and there was this guy in front of me. I was like, oh my god, like okay, like shut down, I'm done for today. and that was about it.
When did you find out who he was?
Oh, I saw a picture of him on a completely random site. I was like not searching for it, but among the images there was this white bearded guy in a white robe with the violet flame surrounding him. I was like, bang, like, oh my god, like that's him. Like, what
Wow,
is that? Like, who is that?
wow, that's
And
amazing.
it said it's Melchizedek. Okay, but I haven't explored that since then. So
That's really cool. That's really neat. And is this line connected with the Syrians? You connect with Sirius really strongly. You're very. Is it?
yes, I came from there many thousands of years ago.
Want to talk about that at all? Like,
I guess. Like, which part do you want me to go into?
Guardian, you have so much information and knowledge that we could do this for days on end, and I still wouldn't have all my
Probably.
questions answered. But whatever you'd feel free to share, or whatever you feel.
Okay, so I will try to go short in the short version. Yeah, like what I have like discovered, and basically how I know the stuff that I know is that I remember many things, and since 2020, I had like many intense experiences and activations with different star tribes in other lifetimes. And basically, I think it was in 2021 when I had that like very dramatic shift in my life, I
Yeah.
think, of like bringing back like memories and like personalities from other lifetimes into this one and like merging them, which was not a seamless transition and it's still ongoing, but I'm still alive, so it's we're getting there. But basically, the whole process is that I had like I contracted with Mother Earth like back at the beginning of Atlantean days of to like teach the people of Earth and also like to guard them as I'm guardian and to preserve that information and to ensure that the age of light can happen. And that meant many, 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 many lifetimes across thousands of years doing the same work. And yeah, like it started with Sirius that I think it's with our group that some of us chose to incarnate and like do the work on the ground with the people
Yeah.
rather than being back at Sirius and just sending loving thoughts and support to the ground crew. Yeah. Yeah, like the interesting stuff that I haven't talked about with anyone yet is the yeah, like I know that I think it was Jacaranda Marie who asked the guides during the channeling session. Like we had many, many channelings with them. They have awesome information, my Syrian guides, and all of a sudden she just asked, like, okay, like this is all great, but how can we call you? Like, how should we call you? And they said Tehute, and I was like, okay, like that sounds very much like Tehuti, which is like the Egyptian version of Thoth. I'm like, okay, and I haven't really thought of that up until now. Like, why is there a different name to it, and why is it so similar? And I actually asked them, and they said like, Tehute is the part of the group that is like not incarnate, like they are the Syrian branch of the group, and like Tehuti is like the ones who chose to incarnate and become part of the earth.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So which one's which again? Which one do you say to call?
Uh, well, you don't have to call either if you don't want to.
I mean, well, if you want to
Yeah.
call them, which one do you say?
Tehute with the e at the end, then that's
Huge.
Tehute. Yeah, like those are the Syrian guides up in the heavens. And Tehuti or Jehuti is the Egyptian name of it. Like that is basically Thoth consciousness here on planet Earth. Like that's how they manifest in the world as Thoth or Hermes or whatever you want to call it.
I'm very interested in this topic these days, especially being that they keep showing me visions of this white blue sun, this very large white blue sun. It looks blue, and but
Mm-hmm.
it's white, light blue, like a sky almost, but maybe a little bit darker. I don't know. And I know by the visions, it doesn't look like it because it's just an orb in the sky, but and it's always about the same proximity to me in visual range. However, what's happening is the sun's growing closer to us to help us somehow, and that it's the activation of the three suns. It means the three. It means this triangle of suns, and so that, and then starting in the summer of 2020, we had a whole bunch of forest fires in this part of the world, and it made it really easy to look into the daytime sky and look upon the sun and see what it really looks like because of the filter, the smoke. And that was when I first started to see that there were two suns. There's a smaller looking orange sun behind the white sun of Sol. Like the Sol is the sun we called the sun. Um, and now people are seeing it more and more. You can see it as the sun rises. It's so like there's the white sun, Sol, and then to the side, and off to the right of it is a smaller one. You can see it at sunrise until the sun is finally over the horizon. Then it's harder to see with the naked eye. So this is my information that I haven't shared with you yet. However, I'm wondering if you have any input on this, that this Syrian sun and there's all this stuff about Sirius right now, that it's for, I've had Syrians come in before, but nothing like I have this past month. Do you know what else is good? I don't know. It's kind of a weird question. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, especially about the sun stuff. I haven't heard about that yet.
Okay. Interesting. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with all of this stuff. So with your channeling, like that's actually something that I found really fun and fascinating, is that Guardian here is one of the first channelers I've ever known that and so therefore I'll do it too now. He kind of paved the way of the example of channeling with the camera on. No one did that. Is, like you always, because there's that awkward weirdness of like I'm in meditation like state while the camera's looking at me. And the Guardian does these channeled messages where the camera's not on, and he also does lives. And I was just wondering, you're so good at it. For anyone who's because right now a lot of people are having these gifts turned on, like how what would be the guidance you would give somebody who's starting to feel like that they are channeling, or they want to learn to channel? Like what would be the first steps that they would do to kind of, knowing that no one needs somebody to tell them the truth of God, that those messages are being directly given to you, right? So how would they start that process?
Well, it's a super complex topic, but I will try to address it regardless.
Thank you.
Well, basically, you have to do a lot of work on yourself to clear the way for information to come through clearly as much as possible. Like I experimented with it back in 2013 as well, but after a time I recognized that, hey, like I'm not really ready for this stuff right now. And yeah, like I kind of stopped and just did a lot of inner work and just completely like left it. I think I didn't even have the intention of like returning to it at all. It just came back in 2020 when the lockdown stuff happened. Then like I had this like urge, like, oh my God, like I have all this information, I have to speak, I have to share it. When I had that realization and I actually started to share stuff that were like coming through, then it like really like accelerated like very, very rapidly. Because I guess like also from the other side, like our guides and higher beings were like, yeah, like people need this support and they need to hear this stuff. And I had like very many intense experiences and like activations to actually make it work. But I think like we did a lot of evolution like collectively. So if anyone wants to like try it or like bring through information, I think it's far more easier than like 10 or 20 years ago or even way back. But in general I think like most of us are like connecting with our guides anyways, or like channeling stuff, and they are like the closest thing to you. And in most cases it's you, or it's another version of you from somewhere else. So it's very close to you. And yeah, like how to get there is, I don't know, like there are like different ways of doing it. Like I think like verbal channeling is the most complicated one,
Yeah.
and the most difficult one. But just writing stuff down is far more easier. But the thing that like I highly recommend doing before that is like clearing yourself, do a clearing meditation, realign yourself, like set up boundaries and like a safe space around you, do some psychic protection, and like make sure that nothing that is not of the highest good or light or in perfect alignment with your soul, then that would not come in and interfere with it. And like it doesn't necessarily mean that like evil spirits will take over you and like they will
Right.
make you do stuff. Like that doesn't really happen.
Oh,
Like
you
maybe,
slapping yourself.
yeah, like maybe in movies or stuff like that. But like interfering things can come in. Like it won't cause I don't know what, but it just like it will interfere with the whole process in general. And there's no, if you can filter that out, then why wouldn't you do that and make your life easier?
Right.
Yeah. And you don't have to be afraid about possession and stuff like that. If you want to if you want to be possessed, then you absolutely 100% have to request something like that. So
Yeah. Yeah. And
or
it's
do some crazy ritual or something. So don't do those stuff.
yeah. Yeah. I find that to be true as well. And
Yeah, like just like asking questions is enough in my opinion. Like or like maybe address it towards your guides like, hey, like I want to know this, or please help me with something. And if you step out of the way and don't rationalize stuff, then information will come to you basically.
yeah.
And like that's the other key factor is like not rationalizing and putting stuff into the box. Like that's really helps. If you do that, that pretty much kills the message or like derails the entire process of channeling.
Yeah. Yes, and when you're channeling in the automated or automatic writing format, the same is true. Like not to worry about spelling errors, logic. Like Guardian and I have had so many conversations about this where we've been like flipping through pages of in writing channeled messages, and then being like, oh, this doesn't seem like it's making any sense. And so we'll go back and read it because it just feels like it's a bunch of random words or something. And it's like, oh, wow, this is some deep wisdom. And then often I find, though, that once I've done that, then it's kind of hard to get back into the groove of pick the message up where I left off. And so my little 2 cents to add to that, just go with it. Just trust yourself. Worst case scenario, you'll go back and you'll find out you have 5 pages of gibberish. Let it come out. And most often it's not going to be gibberish. It's going to be some pretty awesome and impactful stuff.
Yeah, like in my case with automatic or automated writing or how you call it, is that when I first did it, I yeah, like it's a really great way of doing stuff because like it's partially distracting your logical mind because part of your logical mind is busy writing, like that's what it's focused on, and and because you're focused on that, you won't be able to like think of other stuff and like put things into the box and distract yourself in a negative way.
Yeah.
And after a time, I like just realized that like writing down stuff that actually is readable is like also a nuisance. So
Yeah.
I went into like absolutely just like writing like scribbles that was not writing, but it like distracted my mind, and I was like able to bring through much clearer information.
Yeah. This also comes through as drawings, scribbly, wibbly, sometimes looking drawings that like people call it light language. Lots of times these different types of,
Mm-hmm.
and it's activating in a lot of ways. It's also often certain galactic places that these types of writings are coming from. Just it's really cool, and I'm just gonna say, just add this. This is my little commercial. Is that a person named Bob Wilson, who's going to be our guest on next week's show, um, does this kind of light language where he draws it. Like I don't know if he knows he's light. He probably knows his light language, but that's an example of many other types. There's a lot of ways that this communication comes through, and to just trust the experience, right? And just to allow yourself to enjoy it. And you can tell. I would say that because we all have that discernment, so you can tell when you go back and read through it if it's like a message that's, if it's like, you must have a hot dog by Thursday. probably not, words.
That's your stomach channeling.
Yeah. I mean, and like honestly, yeah, like if I were to eat meat, the second to the last thing on the list would be ground meat of some kind. The very last thing on the list would be a hot dog. Like that is just so to me. Anyway, that wasn't meant to be a judgment. That was my stomach just was really unpleasant when I said that word. Um, anyway, uh, Guardian, I was wondering, are you used
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
sessions?
Like I used to do sessions. I also like actually the light language writing stuff.
Oh yeah, please.
Is that hey, like it's not necessarily like ET stuff that is coming through for light language. Like there's like also like old Earth consciousness like coming back. At least in my, according to my personal research and experiences, is like we had light language back way back in the old days, and it's like something that is like reoccurring and coming back again to us. Like I had experiences when we were like using it in Atlantean times to do specific things with it in a much more conscious and grounded way. We're just like bringing it through and just saying stuff without having no clue what we are doing basically right now. But back then, like we were able to like use it in a very conscious way to do things energetically. And I also, I'm not sure who she is, but she has some very awesome light language writing stuff that she's bringing through, which is very similar to, probably also identical to what I was shown as like Atlantean written symbols and language in one of my experiences in the middle of the night. I'm not sure like who came to me in the middle of the night, but like he woke me up and like I see these symbols in front of me,
Yeah.
as these like glyphs, very similar to the zodiac signs or something based on that.
Uh-huh.
Most likely the zodiac signs are also coming from Atlantis too, so
Mhm.
most likely. And yeah, like my task was to like read them out loud, and my logical mind would say like I have no clue, I never seen these, but I started to read out loud and it came through as light language. So, and it made my head hurt and I got migraines for a day. So I guess it was too much information.
What? Wow, there's so many questions now. 333 right now. Uh, wow. Okay, so do you care to elaborate more on? Do you remember when you used light language at this time in the Atlantean time? Would you? I mean,
Yeah, what I remember from the Atlantean one is was like I did something with portals back then to activate them or change their rotation.
yeah,
But yeah, like you could use light language for many different things. Like in my experience, I kind of like use them as like casting spells or something, which is probably very strange for some people. But yeah, like have a clear intent of like what you want to do, and I basically just say the words and send it forth.
right.
Yeah, before I do it, I have no clue how it's going to come out, but I have like a very strong intention of like manifesting or doing something, and I just say the words and it comes out and it does interesting things.
Wow.
And the cool stuff is like when even like nature reacts to it, like that's even another level of awesomeness.
Yeah. I Guardian. I actually wrote this down and I ended up not writing and not saying it out loud, but now I'm going to. Um. So, to share with all of you just briefly, and I'm not saying this, I'm not looking for praise or compliments or any kind of way of like building my character up. I'm telling you very plainly that I was raised in a way of conditioning that taught me that I was um, grotesquely ugly, like to the point of offending the eye of any passersby. Like, and it's been a lifelong challenge of mine, like to the point where I've always dodged every mirror, and it's been a thing. And then I began my interactions with Guardian here, and Guardian engaged with me in a healing and um, did this light language at the beginning of it. And when he did it, something changed for me. I heard a series of locks unlocking, like doors unlocking. He uncast a spell. He full on uncast a spell with this light language. And within a day or two, I can't remember, it was slow. I caught my own reflection and was shocked by somebody looking back at me that wasn't who I've been seeing in the mirror my entire life, like an entirely different person. And I've always never looked at the photographs of myself. I've never, just because it was so repulsive. And none of the photographs looked like the person I remember seeing in those visions, in those reflections. Um, this really freaking happened. This is a real thing. And Guardian's light language uncast that spell and liberated me. This happened in 2020, I think, isn't it? Wasn't that 2020?
Yeah, I think at the end of the year or so.
You remember this story?
Yeah, I just remember the dream catcher moving on above your head.
Oh yeah, we had a physical phenomenon occurring during. So it was through Zoom. It was through digital means. I mean, Guardian's in Romania and I'm in America, um, so we were doing this. Would you care to? Because I didn't see it. I never saw the recording. You only sent me the audio.
I think I sent you also the video later on. Maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, like it was so strange to see that. Okay, like you had your eyes closed and you had the dream catcher above your head. It was just the feathers were just like moving like this. And you later said that there was like no windows open or anything.
It was like March, so it was right after I started it was right before I started my YouTube channel. So it was February, so I wouldn't have had windows open. Yeah, it was February because it was my brother's. It had to do with my brother's passing. Wow. So yeah, you remember that. That's really cool. And yeah, it caused a physical phenomenon in my body too. I was shaking violently, like neurological, like I was very aware of myself, but I couldn't move. Like I didn't not I just didn't want to. I really deeply didn't want to move is why I didn't move. I wasn't stuck, but I was in this like, yeah, you did this. You did this. And there's a question here from Robert Myers. It's good to see you, Bob. Guardian, will you be doing messages from Sirius again? He asks.
Probably not. Yeah, I don't want to do them as I did so far. So I will like try to like maybe answer questions during the live event from them. Like when people send in questions in the community section, I will like address them in the upcoming live event always. And I bring through information from them, but I don't go into a deep state of trance. I'm just like getting notes from them regarding the subject.
Right. Cool. Do you have a regular schedule for when you do your live events?
Yes, I do. Like, you can go on my YouTube channel, and in the community section, I always post before the live event and when it will happen. But it happens regularly at Thursdays at 2 p.m. East, 11 a.m. PST, and 7 p.m. GTM or London time.
Awesome. Cool. And I'm gonna, for those of you who are joining us on YouTube, you won't find it right now. I'll go back and edit it once it's done doing its calibration thing, and I'll put a link to Guardian of Orion's channel. Jay Zoltan.
That was Jay Zoltan, yeah. But I was Guardian of Orion. But
yeah. And then I just, do you still do sessions, or is this something that you've just taken a break from, or?
I've taken a break from it, but someone just signed up, and we're going to do a session. So yeah.
Sweet.
Even though I have put on my site with huge caps that I'm not doing sessions right now, someone still scheduled one. So I guess it's a sign from the universe or something.
Well, that's lovely. And for when you do open back up to taking sessions, I strongly encourage anyone who has the opportunity that you could see there's a clear line in who I was before and who I was after meeting with Guardian. So I just, again, my heart is thank you, Guardian. You are my brother, and I just love you.
Yeah, it's so sad that we're different parts of the world.
I know. Yeah, there's like a big gathering happening here in December if you were closer, I would encourage you to come to Houston in December on the 8th, 9th, and 10th for that Soulogy festival that's going to happen. But
Yeah, that would
maybe
be
it's a
awesome.
different time.
Yeah, like when things calm down around the world, and I will travel to the Great West.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I look forward to those days.
Yeah, like maybe do some live channeling sessions with the public or something.
Wouldn't that be so killer?
That would be crazy, yeah.
Oh, wow. So much fun. And then lastly, too, really quickly, Guardian and I have still in correspondence about this, but we're going to start to do a show somehow together in the next little while in the future, too. So you can look forward to finding more out about that down the road. And I thank you, Guardian, for joining
Thank
today.
you.
And I would love it if you would join me again on this show at some point. I know it's really late for you, so
It
not to
is,
feel it.
yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to come tonight.
It was awesome. I thank you for having me, and I hope we can continue doing it. It was great.
Yes, thank you.
And sending much love to everyone. Yeah. Sending much love to everyone, and awesome to connect with everyone who already knows us or are just new.
That's right. And I love you all. You got this. I'm going to go live tomorrow at a weird time because today's schedule got weird and their technology's been all crazy. But I love you all. Thank you all for joining. And thanks again for joining us, Guardian.
Have an awesome day, everyone.